students, and happy Wednesday. I hope you did a good job on your bell work. I'm not going to go over that today, and I hope that you did fill out fraction of the day, and I'll be sure to thank Miss Weber for giving us that fun video instructions on how to do that. For today's lesson, we're going to be learning about decimals to the thousandths. In 5th grade, this is the first year that you're really going to be working a lot with decimals. Some of you have seen them before if you recognize money, $1.50. Or if you go to the store, sometimes something's $1.99 or $1.69. These decimals mean that everything on this other side of the decimal is actually a part of a whole. It doesn't equal a whole. So we're going to be looking at that. You all are familiar with things that are parts of a whole, aren't you? Do you remember in math class if they talked about a pizza? And you had a whole pizza, but then your mom ate half the pizza? How much is left? 1/2. That is correct. So that means 1/2. That's half. That's less than a whole. So we're going to be looking more at how to make our fractions connect to our decimals and learn how they actually work together to mean the same thing. So for today, I'm going to be using a video off of the Pearson Realize to kind of help out with this lesson. Parents, you should have access to this on Schoology, on the online textbook. I believe that the videos and activities are also available, but I will double check into that. I hope you enjoy.
How can you read and write decimals to the thousandths? A box is filled with 1,000 cubes.
Each of the cubes in the box are the same size. There are 10 cubes on each side of the box.
Amy picks out 4 cubes. How can you represent 4 out of 1,000 cubes as a decimal?
All right, I'm going to give y'all a quick note that I need y'all to put into your math interactive notebook that is going to help us for the rest of the year when we're dealing with decimals. I want y'all to know that our base 10 blocks as 5th graders now are different. So I need you to copy this down. Base 10 block values. I'm going to scoot you this way just a little bit. Okay, 4 decimals are going to be different. Are you ready? A cube. And if I'm going too fast, you can freeze the video. Okay, this is the thousandth cube is going to equal something different. The hundredths, which is also called the flat. The tens, which was also called the rod. You remember these? And of course our little guy here, who's our unit. Okay? For 5th grade, our unit base 10 block is going to equal 1 out of 1,000. In decimal form, that is going to equal 0 ones, 0 tenths, 0 hundredths, 1,000th. If you're confused, it's okay. I just need you to get this in your notebooks. We're going to be talking more about it later. Your rod that used to equal 10 in 5th grade is now going to equal 1/100th. And the way you would write that as a fraction is going to be 0 ones, 0 tenths, and 1 100th. That means it would take 100 of these to make this 1 cube. Whatever your whole is, you have to set everything else up to go, well, how many would it take to equal that? This right here is 1 cube. How many of the rods or column, this is a rod, it's got one nice tower. How many of those would it equal to equal 1 whole cube? 100. So one of these is worth 1 100th. How many flats would it take to make 1 whole cube? It would take 10, which is what she showed you a minute ago when she broke it up. She said there were 10 flats. If you broke this up, there's 1 flat, 2 flats, 3 flats. Well, my line's a little off there. And so on. So if I got my real base 10 blocks out right now, I could take 10 of those flats and I could stack them up and I would make 1 cube. 3-dimensional though. Kind of like science with volume. All right. How many cubes does it take to make 1 cube? Just 1. Oh, I forgot my decimal over here. So how do I write 1/10 as a decimal? 0 ones, but I got 1/10. Make sure that this is in your notebook. You will see models on some of your test questions, and it's also that you'll see models on some of the activities that you're going to be doing online, just as if you were in the real classroom using real manipulatives. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. Now back to her question, now that you have a different mindset about the values of these base 10 blocks, how can you represent 4 out of 1,000? Let's find out.
You can write 4 out of 1,000 as the fraction 4 thousandths.
The number name for 4 out of 1,000 is 4 thousandths. A decimal place value chart can help you determine the decimal. Notice that the thousandths place is 3 places to the right of the decimal point. So, 4 thousandths can be represented by the decimal 4 thousandths. Remember to include a 0 in the ones place when writing a decimal less than 1.
All right, class, I'm going to pause it right there for a second. Look back in your notebook at the notes I just told you to write. And I said that 1 unit cube equals what now? 1 1,000th. So she asked you, what would you do if you had 4 of them? Well, if you broke it down, there's 1 cube, 2 cubes, 3 cubes, 4 cubes, which would equal 1 1,000th, 2 1,000th, 3 1,000th, 4 1,000th. So it's going to be very important that you know what each of those cubes stand for. If she was asking you 4 of the rods, those would be hundredths. So you'd have a different number on the bottom. But that we don't have to worry about that right this second. Okay? Now you have your anchor chart that has your new place values when we're only dealing with tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. And if you actually say the fraction you made, 4 1,000ths, is literally saying put a 4 in the thousands place. Just like with whole numbers. If I said, what happens if you have 3 tens? You put a 3 in the tens place. What happens if you have 4? But notice the difference. If you have 3 tens, look how big the 3 is. That's a whole number. 3, not tenths. 3 tens. Tens. But when you say tenths or thousandths, and yes, I'm making my face look like this for a reason, or hundredths, because it's a part. You have to make a fraction because it's a piece of something, just like that pizza we talked about. Listen for the th.
How can 444 thousandths be represented by a decimal?
Okay, now this has gone too far. 444? I just figured out how to do 4. Well, let me think. Oh, wait, how do we do if it's a whole number? We did it yesterday on the bell work. Let's see. If we break it down by place value, I can put the right number in the right place value. I don't know. But I don't understand how there's place values on a fraction. Let's see what it says.
$444 thousandths is read as 444 thousandths and represented by the decimal 444 thousandths.
Oh. I think I get it. Okay, hold on. So did you notice that the last number had to land in the right place value to make it correct? They said 444 thousandths. So if you worked backwards and put the 4 in the thousandths, did that 4. Then the 1 to the left goes in the hundredths. The 1 to the left of that would be in the tenths. And then, of course, for any decimal, I always tell students, you do not leave it like this. A reader is going to have trouble trying to see that little bitty decimal. So you always want to put a 0 in the ones place to let the person that's reading the number understand that there's 0 ones. But then you have something behind the decimal. You have a decimal and you have parts of a whole that are back here that we definitely need to look at because they're important.